Patrick Morris, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Thanks for having me.
I wanted you to, we were just talking about Sun Ra off air and how is sort of his leadership style and how he got the best out of his players. Did you have a teacher or even a band leader that early on in your career that got the best out of you and through inspiration and soul?
Oh yeah, for sure. Man, so many people. Yeah, I think the first cat that comes to my mind, I had this professor in college, Mark Rosen is his name. Super sick dude, piano player.
Mark Rosen.
Yeah, and he, man, he just like, he was like a swing piano player, but he did this thing where he'd turn off the lights we had a combo, like twice a week or something, and he'd turn off the lights, and we would just play in the dark for like 10 minutes. And it was like the first few times it was just like, it was with people you didn't know either, so there's no rapport. So you're just literally it's all ears.
I love it. You can't see anybody's reactions, nothing,
Yeah.
Wow.
It was super cool.
That's so Miles-ish,
Yeah, it was dope. And like, I was young and everyone was self-conscious about what they were doing, and he just, he's just like, dude, just like let that go. Like there's no space for that here. Like it was great. His teaching style was so cool.
What's your stage fright like? Is that like Rick Danko said that, like from the band, that song Stage Fright? Like do you feel like when you get on the stand, like you feel mentally strong, or or there are some gigs where you're like, you sort of have to, psych yourself up to do the gig? That idea of stage fright never totally goes away, no matter how big a pro you are.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's funny. It's sometimes I feel hubris, and I'm like, oh yeah, I don't feel
hubris. Dude.
I don't feel like I don't get
cast your fate to the wind. Yeah,
exactly. But then sure enough, I'll get a gig where there's a bunch of people there, or you're playing with someone that you really respect. Maybe you haven't played with them before. It's kind of like an audition of sorts,
right?
And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, you just choke a little bit,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's how do you, even not that you're an elder, but how do you get even younger cats? Because I think it's even harder for younger cats in some ways, just because I'm not sure if they've had any kind of like real ear training in the sense of those everything's so visual now.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Yeah, I think like in terms of like
there's no right or wrong answer. It's just the idea of how do you get cats to get in the groove if you feel like whoever they are, if they're on the bandstand and they're a little bit too in their head.
For sure, yeah. I think
you flub a note, maybe get their attention, or like go off on some like what do you do as a head game,
Yeah, no, man. There's a few things you can kind of game it a little bit. I think like, just like looking at them in a way that's not not like the stink eye or anything, but you just smile at them. Maybe flub a note or play something back to them that they're playing.
Right.
Just kind of be like, yeah, I hear you. Like I'm with you. It just I think playing like simply and just like being very support, especially as like a bass player or drummer, where we're being, support roles all night. Like just be as supportive as you can musically, and just like give them a nice big landing pad for them to do what they do if they're if they're like a lead player, horn player, piano player, something like that. With drummers, younger drummers, it's just like, I try and just really dial back what I'm doing and just lock in with them, have good feel and good pocket, and I feel like that people, if you make them feel good, they'll play good.
Absolutely. No, I just interviewed George Garzone, and I'm not sure if you're hip to him. He's an amazing saxophone player, like from the same vein as like Joe Lovano, Dave Liebman, those cats.
Cool.
And he was talking about being in a James Brown cover band in '67, which is really hip. And he brought that sort of fatback music into Berkeley, where he went to school. And so he wound up swinging on the 1 and 3 instead of the 2 and 4. And he talked about like Sonny Rollins doing that as well, and a couple of other cats, and it swung so hard. So when you're in a setting, how do you enjoy those settings where you're not keeping a pocket, you're in a spiritual land?
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like that's honestly like kind of the goal. Like you're chasing the dragon if you're trying to do that. But I think that's like getting there. It's like you can't want it because it's not gonna happen. But like I want it every gig, you know. So yeah, it's just getting to that place where like the sum is greater than the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. You know what I mean? Where you're all vibing. It's like you lose yourself. There's no identity. You're all one unit doing something together. I love that.
A lot of people say that that is the closest thing to spiritual revelation, you know, when you're doing it collectively.
Yeah.
And you're on that same frequency, so you're in commune with other people.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Like when it's, you know, I've had a number of experiences, you know, not too many, but a number of experiences like that in my time, and it's just magical. It's very like, you know, I feel like the humdrum of life can kind of like, you know, you can kind of end up sleepwalking through some of your life, and you know, you're like, oh, I have bills to pay, you know, this person's making me mad, you know, whatever. Like you're just in that like lower state. But then you have a gig like that, and it's just like, oh, you see the possibilities. Of, like, you know, like you're just like, we're all the same. Like this, you know, this is all crazy. What this thing we're doing together, like, you know, going through life together and stuff. So yeah, that's like the goal, even though it like can't be. I don't know.
Well, no, that's exactly right. It can't be because you're going to go and play a trio jazz gig, and Garzone was in a band called The Fringe, and they still play.
Oh,
yeah.
I saw them when I lived in Boston. I
No
didn't
way,
know-
Bob
yeah.
Galati did it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. That band is so sick.
Dude, and so what I'm saying is, that's the music I want you to play tonight, but that's not amenable to the patrons, you know, in terms of, you're dictating to an audience, which is unfortunately like people, what we're talking about is liberation through music.
Yeah.
And most people have become so accustomed to talking over music, like music as background noise.
Yeah.
That to me, one of the reasons I continue to do my show is to accentuate the humanity of in music.
Yeah, I appreciate your show, man. Like I appreciate what you're doing for the community, because it is super commodified. Like it's everywhere, dude. I mean, you know, it's an ad. You turn on the TV and there's a Cadillac commercial with like Jay Dilla playing. And
Exactly.
like, oh my god, dude! Like, you know, yeah. So it's just crazy how it's so commodified, and you know, it's just everywhere. But it's also like it's so hardwired into us. Like we all speak it perfectly. You know, even if you don't play an instrument, you still understand music. Like it's like the birds, and it's like, you know, you hear stuff growing up. It's all over the place. It's like the cadence of how we speak. It's musical, you know, like language itself. Just, yeah, it's everywhere. So I think in the society that we live in, it's like inevitable that it became commodified. But like,
Right.
you know.
But I mean, you saw The Fringe. I need you to talk about that because was John Lockwood on bass, or who was?
Yeah. He was the
And-
only cat whose name I knew. And then Joe Lovano sat in with them.
No.
Yeah, I saw them a few times.
This is so insane because Garzone and I are we're like best friends now, dude.
No way, dude. Yeah.
we did. It was, dude. So tell me about that experience. That was maybe new territory for you in some ways?
Yeah, so I mean, I moved to Boston to go to school, and
At Berkeley?
At Berkeley, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that dude, I got his name wrong. I feel bad. His name was Josh Rosen. I said Mark. His name's Josh. I feel
Hey.
bad. Sorry, Josh.
Yo, dude, the man knew what he was doing.
Yeah. But he was the one who was like, okay, your homework is to go see this band, The Fringe, and they had a residency.
Oh my God, that is.
Yeah, dude, they had a residency at this place called the Lily Pad over in Cambridge, and I don't know, they probably still are playing there to this day. I'm not sure, but
I think it's in Somerville somewhere. I mean,
Okay.
anyway, this is I think it's moved to different places. but
Gotcha. Yeah, but man, it was ridiculous because like they just came out and like they're just literally like they're just,
Yeah, no, it was like me saying, "Yo, play that bass."
they're just it's just noise and chaos, and then all of a sudden they're all playing a tune, and they'll play like half of a chorus of like a tune of some tune, and then they're into something else. They're in another land. They're all just like they're so trusting. They all just like I mean they've been playing together forever.
Ever.
Like, all those guys have been playing together so long. Their rapport is insane. But yeah, it was like I was like, holy fuck, dude, like this is just it was unbelievable seeing them. And I went as often as I could, which I saw them like maybe 3 or 4 times. I probably could have gone more, but it was kind of far from me and stuff.
What's the most like functional thing you learned in the academy? That you can like relate to your career and like I mean, everyone has to wear 8 hats, but I mean,
Yeah,
you know, like
for sure.
interviewing Sco and you know Mike Knock and you know Ernie Watts, Harvey Mason, all these guys that went to Berkeley, they were already like basically semi-professional. You know, there were
Yeah.
so many gigs. Now there's not a lot of gigs. So I just wonder like how you've applied that learning to the bandstand.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think honestly, like the biggest thing was just like being surrounded by people that were like-minded and we all kind of like motivated each other to get better. Because I think if you're into music, like you're gonna learn no matter what. Like you don't have to go to music school, you know. So like I can't. I don't know if I can pick out like one tangible thing that I'm like this thing I got from Berkeley, like I can directly apply. But like I think it kind of it just shaped me in a way. Like it just was like okay, like maybe it like nudged me more towards jazz or something. And as opposed, I don't consider myself like a jazz musician really. I try and play a little of everything.
Sure.
You know. But I think like yeah. That's a tricky question to answer.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I think the point is that people there, for the most part, the musicians, they were all probably great, but you didn't want to put your axe down after you were inspired to keep growing.
Yeah, I mean
That to me is the most important thing because, you know, unfortunately, there's just other people that you know because they're in a certain space in their life, you know, they're just kind of assholes, you know, and like
Yeah.
and it's their show and so and or they're so good that you know and they're not inclusive so that you do walk home and say all right I'm gonna quit you know like
yeah, I
you
mean,
know yeah
there definitely was a fair amount of that. You know, you have a day.
there's always going to
Where-
be somebody you know and especially as a musician there's so many
Yeah.
so you know it's just you just have to be you know
Exactly, and I think that might be that. Now that you say that, that might be one of the biggest things I learned there because it's like so many people are doing so much cool shit there,
Right.
and it's just like, oh man, like this guy is just shredding bop on the guitar or on the bass or whatever, and I'm like, I want to do that, but like I don't love bebop, so you know, I'm like now I'm like faking, I'm like,
but that's what see everyone has their own concept of jazz and I agree, you said bebop
yeah,
which is like that's your concept of jazz or like you know like there's so many different kinds like to me it's an emotive thing I don't care if you're playing the Fringe or you're playing freaking Gene Ammons or you know fucking Dizzy or whatever you're going
Yeah.
back you know like Kid Ory like
yeah.
to me it's more like a feeling you know
Yeah, totally. The spirit of jazz, I think, is alive and well in this day and age.
Yeah.
I think like people are like, you know, there's a lot of people out there like jazz died in the '60s. You know, like there's that attitude.
no you know what that means that means you could no longer make a living as a jazz musician that's the truth. I mean, you know, it became harder and harder. So many studio cats, Alan Schwartzberg, an incredible studio drummer on so many records, but was like a jazz fanatic and like, you know, made a couple of records like in the 50s. But at a certain point, he was like, I can't make a living, you know? So like
Yeah.
the idea of jazz sort of losing that popular edge, part of that was also the infusion of, I mean, who's to say that me and you in the psychedelic baby boom mid 60s coming in with money wouldn't have gravitated to all that psychedelic music, which had its validity, but jazz became a less popular music,
Yeah,
you know, and I still feel like it's the spirit is so strong in that music. Like seeing you guys the other night, I don't know, it was a month ago or something. It was just so freaking awesome, man. Like,
Oh, thanks,
it was
man.
really great. I mean, I really got off on it. Like, you guys, it felt good. It felt fucking good.
that's the. I feel like that's like my credo. At least personally, I'm just like, dude, I just want to play music that feels good. I don't know if that's like hedonistic or whatever, but that's like the.
I don't know why.
know,
That's what it's about.
Yeah. Like, why would you want to feel, you know, bad? I mean, I guess you can explore the range of the human emotional spectrum, but like, you know, it's just like, dude, I want everything to feel good. Yeah, I agree. I think like, you know, that's like, yeah, number one thing.
Yeah, but, I have to ask you. Tell me a little bit about Chris Pierce, dude. You know, because he's another cat who you know he's been doing his time on the bandstand.
Yeah,
and, you know,
man.
but Yeah, tell me a little bit about your friendship with him.
I love Chris, man. We used to hang out. We'd hang out like a few times a month. We'd do like bass hangs and we just play together and hang out. Dude, I love that dude, man. He's awesome. He's a great bass player. Dude, his like he just has sensibilities I think that like no one else in town has, especially like his like tone shaping and like just I don't know, his like lines are really cool. He has this like punk rock kind of way of playing that's like super dope. Like his like iconic bass players. It's so funny. I feel like you talk to any bass player, like 9 out of 10 of them are gonna be like, oh, Jocko and Pino and you know all the guys. But Chris is like his list. I'm just like, dude, I don't even know who any of these cats are. Like he just has like a really cool sense.
It's a deep bag. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can hear that all come out in his playing.
Oh, totally. Yeah. He's really, man. He's sick. Like
sensibility, dude. That's a key. Why don't you riff on that? Is the most important thing in music, I think.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about like singing on the instrument.
Yeah, it's your taste. It's like I think that is something that is like 100% authentic. It's like you can't teach sensibility, you can't teach taste. Like it's something that it's like heuristic. Is that the right word? I don't know if that's the right word. It's you have to teach it to yourself. You know, like you have to explore and you have to like have self-awareness to be like, I like this, I don't like this. Why do I like this?
Right.
What is the thing about this that I like? Why do I not like this? You have to spend time being like, what is, you know, even with music that you don't maybe love, you're just like, why is this not doing it for me? And you can kind of, I pick it apart and identify some stuff. And you can learn like a lot about yourself and about how you want to play by doing that, you know? And like, yeah, I think like that really, you know, like there's so many ridiculously killing musicians out there that are just like, they're like technical masters. Like they just are like, they're just flawless players. And like, you know, it's like, it's maybe they don't live in, it's like the zeitgeist is wrong for them or something, but like it's just like they have no like, you know,
You wind up staring at the wall or something.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
This doesn't feel good.
Yeah. It's like or you know, like it could just be like they're just ahead of their time or their market. I don't know, something, but it's just like
Interesting. That's really interesting.
It's not about like
No.
Like how well you can play. It's just like, dude, what's your taste? There's so many, dude. Like I teach my students like a lot of like, you know, Erykah Badu bass lines, like Pino. Dude, if you're playing for a year, you can play pretty much everything that dude has played, like technically, right? It's just like getting your hands together, but like his taste is just so like, it's just golden palette. Like it's there's no fat in his playing at all. It's just perfect. And like it doesn't, you know, you don't have to be like this ridiculous shredder, or you don't have to spend 20 years on the instrument to be like really good.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You know.
Yeah, I dig. You know, my final question for you: where do you need to grow the most as a musician or a person?
Oh, that's a good question. I like this question. Yeah.
I mean, you just got married, right? Or you got engaged or married?
Just got married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Man, I think sometimes I can be quick to like write something off. You know, it's like having an open mind, I think, is probably like just having a more open mind and more.
You think like as it relates to musical projects or just in life in general, you're quick?
I think probably in life in general. I try not. I'm aware of this like character flaw. I'm trying not to do that. You know, I think having an open mind. It's like, you know, everyone says it's really good, but especially in music too. It's like I hear something and I'm just like, I don't know about that. Like I don't know if I like this. And then 9 times out of 10, I spend more time with it. I'm just like, oh, this is actually really cool.
But that's the point. Is that just acknowledge the fact that you're not going to have some instantaneous. It has to sink in.
Yeah.
That's
it's
not
true.
a flaw.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you don't like it. It just means you need time.
It's true. It has to permeate. I think I just need to allow it to.
That's always the way the music works. There's like Eric Dolphy and stuff.
Yeah.
For so many years, I couldn't listen to it.
Yeah.
And now it's like stuff I groove to.
Yeah, it's true, man.
It's acquired, and you know, again, it's like, you know, if people are putting pressure on you to like it, fuck that. But it's like, you know, truly, like, give yourself time to. We just live in an age when people think that they need to have. It's unfortunate, but just, you know, instantaneous answers, and most of the time it comes out like a garbled word salad, you know, or on the bandstand, you know.
For sure.
But that was not with that group. When are you playing with those cats again?
We are gonna be playing, I think, the 2nd of February. It's we do the first Friday of every month at Jackrabbit. I think Rock is he's a DJ MC guy.
Yeah.
That dude is like a Renaissance man. He does it all. He's an amazing musician, super sick. But he's kind of he's like reneging the contract that he has with them. It's through him.
Okay.
So it might be, we'll see. I'm not sure.
All right.
It's kind of dicey.
You play with those guys in any other setting?
Not really. That group, especially the one that you saw, that was the first time we had all played together. So
Wow.
Yeah. So like, I play with Alasan, the keyboard player. He has a project just called Alasan. Amazing project.
Where
Check out
do you
his-
play out? You play live?
Not recently. We were doing. He had a big album release right before COVID, and then COVID happened.
Right.
We've done a couple studio things. Actually, I'm working on a record right now with him. We just did all like the preliminary tracking, and then we're doing vocals and stuff this week. And but live stuff, not so much. For him, I was talking to him the other day. He's like, 2024 is going to be the year of playing live.
Yeah,
So-
let's get that going, man.
Yeah, man,
That would be Patrick Morris, man. I'm so glad to be able to keep building this family, local and abroad.
Dude, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, it was an honor to have you on the program.
Yeah, thank you.
This is the Jake Feinberg Show. We'll see you later.